This is our last summer of self-love. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it's been 9 conversations. This has been such an amazing summer. So, welcome, Happiness Hippie and Ruth. Welcome, everyone. I'm Erica Vole. I'm a decision mentor and inner trust guide, and I write the Unfolding Substack and host the Unfolding Letters from the Middle of Becoming podcast. And I'm so glad to welcome you to today's, our last of the Summer of Self-Love conversations. I think that there's probably going to be one more that gets tacked on. I'm working on that one. So in these conversations, we've been exploring women's relationships with themselves, their inner critic, and their relationship to self-love. Summer of Self-Love has been a real labor of love, and it was a continuation of this voice series that I did in April, and it's been a continuation of women trusting themselves, because we know when our inner voice is strong and feeling empowered, that it comes out through our outer voice. And it always affects how we express ourselves. And it also ripples out into our relationships with others. And today we are joined by one of the 12 women that I interviewed as part of the Summer of Self-Love series. We have Jen Ohrman, and she writes the Next Act Navigator on Substack. Welcome, Jen.
Oh, thanks, Erica. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for doing this so I could be here with you today.
So tell us about you, what brought you to the series and what brought you to Substack.
Well, let's see. Well, the Substack is definitely a direct result of being part of Ignite Her University and Julie Ciardi and really jumping on that and feeling the passion for that. So loving being here. But for your series, The Summer of Love, you're crushing it. I love watching you really be bold and take the actions. And I feel like because we're in the group, I kind of know a little bit about where you started. I'm watching her go like, wow, this is amazing. So there's that. I feel grateful to be a part of such a cool production that you are offering here. And it really is one that makes a difference for all of us. The other part of it is that I'm fascinated with self-love because it literally is my life's work, and I have yet to master it. So, and I've been working on mastering it for decades and decades. So maybe this will help me even jump the hurdle a little further on the hurdle of self-love.
Yeah. And before we got on live, I love what you were saying about how this is, you've been doing this for decades. And also it's just you're not finished. It's part of the journey. And I feel you because I share that same gate, that gate 10 of that's your life's work. And that's my North Node, which is the second half of my life is about learning to love myself. And man, it's been a journey.
Yes, it really has. It's a never ending journey. And I think that's why I am a coach, and it's why I work with midlife women. And it's not because I have anything figured out, but we learn as we go and as we grow. And it's incredibly comforting to know that this is, especially learning human design, just starting to learn that, is that this literally, I'm here on this planet to learn to ideally, eventually embody truly loving myself. And so it takes practice every single day. And here we are.
Mm-hmm. So I want to go back a little bit, 20 years, 30 years. If you overheard yourself talking to a friend, sorry, let me back up. If you overheard the way that your inner critic talked to you back in your 20s and your 30s, and you heard them talking to a friend, the way that your inner critic talked to you, what would you have thought if you'd overheard that conversation?
Truthfully, I would have been horrified, absolutely horrified. And it would have gone, something like, you're, come on, you're not good enough. Who do you think you are? who do you think you are that you should even try this? No, you're not ready yet. You're not ready yet. You have to practice more. No, you need to do more. You need to do more reps. You're not the person that is suited to do this. Other people can do this better than you. Why do you even think that you're trying and I would have intervened, and I would have tried to shut down the bully, and I would have defended her. And it goes to show that whole thing about self-abandonment, and just how we are so inclined to be, especially as women, I think, so inclined to give compassion to other people, whether they deserve it or not, often even if they don't deserve it, and not give it to ourselves. And it is still such a big thing that I see in my coaching, but that self-abandonment and that inability to give ourselves self-compassion is kind of the crux of what I'm talking about on a daily basis in the work that I do. So it's wild, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's so wild to me that like, I thought that I would eventually get to a destination where I would be like, oh, I love myself so much. Because like, I would see these women in their 70s and 80s who were just like, screw this, like, and I was like, I want to get there. But then I realized that like, this is part of my work, and I will get there. But I think a lot of times we saw older women sometimes abandon themselves in a way that like, I am not. I'm not going to go there. So
yes, indeed.
So that inner critic who was such a bully, tell us how you learned to talk to yourself that way. Were there women around you that talked about themselves the same way that you did when you were growing up?
So I love this question. I really love all of these. It's really given me time to really reflect. So again, I thank you for this. It's been a healing experience for me. And so I had a really interesting upbringing. I grew up with a mom who was literally, my sister and it's just my sister, the two of us. And we grew up dancing around our home, and we lived in northern New Jersey. And we used to dance around the house to my mom's favorite song, Helen Reddy. I'm dating myself, but it's this song called I Am Woman, Hear Me Roar. So my older sisters will know. But and to this day, it's just like it's such a mantra. I am woman, hear me roar, and my mom singing, and we would sing at the top of our lungs and dance to all of this. So she was somebody who was very progressive, and she was quite the feminist before her time. And she would always tell us, you can do anything you want, you can be anything you want, you can, and yes, I love your father, but you don't have to get married if you don't want to get married. So she was kind of, because most of my friends are like, my mom wasn't really like that. So when I really took pause when I was reflecting on this question, because now that being said, my mom still grew up when she grew up. And so I did hear and see her issue with her weight and her body. That issue didn't transfer to me, but she was always on a diet. She was always trying to, have us eat stuff that that she would go on these kicks, and we'd be like, okay, but that never became the issue. But something else that I started remembering as I was thinking about this was, I remember on more than one occasion, my grandmother and my aunt, who we were all very close, lived very close with each other. And on more than one occasion, because my mom was bold. My mom was, I'm sure she was a manifesting generator, and she was a woman before her time. And I remember on more than one occasion, them grandma and my aunt saying to me, don't let her know how smart she is. Don't tell your mother how pretty she is. And I was like, what? What is that? Yes. That's what they told me.
Gosh.
I know. What is that? I can't even believe it. So, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So wow. So I wanted, in the interviews, we shared this this was in the Inner Critic article, and yours has stood out to me ever since I got it 2 months ago, through 2.5 months ago, about your, how when you were a teenager, you were offered the captain of the gymnastics team and you were like, no, I don't want to do this. Or the editor of the yearbook. Like, tell us about that, because I find that so, I don't want to say fascinating, but like it was such a memorable one that I knew exactly the story. And then when we got on earlier today, I was like, oh, you were the person that had that story, because that
Yes.
resonated so much with me. So tell us
Yes.
about that.
Oh my gosh. And it's a pattern. It's this pattern of, I would always go to I do consider myself a leader and I do consider myself an achiever, but don't be too much of an achiever. Don't be too, and I'm not like, I don't think that came from my mom. So it's like, because my mom was really all like, go, be all you can be, you know? So I look back and I see like three stories come to mind so quickly about this particular, and I'm sure there's more, but the story of being, it's the senior year about gymnastics team and my coach offering, you know, for me to be the captain of the team. And, and then I said, well, no, I think we should do tri-captains, because there was three of us that were seniors. And I was like, I'm not going to do it by myself. I think we should, the three. So we did tri-captains, which was just fine. And another one was the editor of the yearbook. It was like, you know, I could have gone for the editor position, but I'm like, no, she's my friend's smarter than me. I'll do the co-editor. And another one was in my history class. This was a teacher that believed in me so much. I think of him all the time. I still think he probably would be disappointed in me. Oh my gosh, that's so sad. But because he believed in me and he wanted, we were doing some kind of mock trial and he wanted me to play the lawyer in the mock trial. And I remember, like, this is going to make me cry. I remember like thinking to myself, I could never be a lawyer. Like, how could I can't even pretend. Like, I'm not smart enough to do that. And I did well in school. So but I really believed it. So do you know, like, I was so freaked out by this. I made myself sick. So I couldn't show up for school the day of that trial, of the trial that we did in the class. And I'm like, just, you know, and like I said to you earlier, I think to myself, I know it's part of my human design, but my gosh, like, what have I missed? Because I've been like, what if I did do the trial that day? And what if I did better than I thought I would have done? I probably would have done better. Maybe not that I need to be a lawyer, but maybe it was a different direction. I mean, everything happens the way it happens, but I see that pattern and it breaks my heart, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And there's something that Julie Ciardi told us when we were studying parts of the Identity Center. And what really struck me was when she said about her daughter who has the gate 10, which you and I both have, was she's like, I wish she could see how great she is.
Yeah.
And I think that with that gate 10, that there's a part of us that can't see our own greatness.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at other parts of your chart and I'm like, I think that there's just something about us that we just can't see, something about us that just, I don't know. I don't know. And I think that there are other pieces that we'll talk about later, but
yeah.
And I think also that you have that line 5 in your profile, which so often we're seen as the problem solver, and we have to be very discerning about what problems we want to solve.
Yeah.
And do you find that it comes up that you're like, not just is this a problem I want to, whether or not I want to solve, but like, has it come up for you that you just don't feel like you know enough? I know you don't have the one, but
I honestly, no, I don't think that's what it is. I don't think that's what it is. I think, and I was talking to Jen about this the other day. I think that what is this in my design? I'm not sure, but it's about disappointing other people. It's about, I remember when my mom died, I was a freshman in college, and I remember this clear. I remember hardly anything about like what happened after, except I remember being at the funeral home And I remember being so concerned about people not feeling sorry for me. So I was, strong. And sometimes, and a lot of times people, we are like that, like we're trying to hold everybody else up. And I just kept that going because I felt I didn't feel entitled to, and I don't know why. I don't know why, but I didn't feel entitled to be vulnerable and to, kind of let my true feelings of despair and grief and sadness and all of that show. But and I wonder if it's because of the projection on my line 5 of my 3-5 of. And my sister, people have said to me, like, everybody thinks you can do everything. Like it's sometimes it's been noticeable. Other people will be like, in the family, I have taken that on. It has been such a pressure for me that it is fascinating. So that is truly.
Yeah. And I'm looking at your chart. You also have the undefined ego center, which I think a lot of it is too, is like, we don't feel we are valued enough. We undervalue ourselves and undervalue our worth.
Yeah. And it's so frustrating. I'm 61, people. I'm not new here on planet Earth. Like, and I've been studying personal growth forever. So, and I've come a long way. I don't want anybody to be like, oh my God, she has to. No, I've learned a lot. I've grown a lot, and there's still more to do. I guess that's the lesson.
So was there someone who saw you differently than you saw yourself before you believed in yourself? Like, what did they see in you and what flipped it for you or started to shift it for you?
Yeah, honestly, I think it's a little different for me because I consistently can think of people who have believed in me my entire life. And it was always about me not seeing. And I'm still working on that. And that's still the work. I'm actually excited because you've helped me dial into this in just this last 24 hours. So,
oh my gosh.
No, seriously, I am immensely grateful for this whole interaction because I read that question and I was racking my brain. I wanted to have the pat answer, well, it was, Mr. Jones who, and I'm like, honestly, it wasn't any one particular person. It's always been me, and it's always been people saying, "You." In every aspect of work that used to be a physical therapist, and I was in healthcare for a long time. And I would have people that would tap me for these senior roles and to, these leadership roles of the medical care companies. And I'm like, oh, I don't know. And I often would say no to those too, by the way. So it's a really interesting thing. So I don't have that good little answer of it was a certain person. I'm going right back to saying it was always me that hasn't been able to completely flip. I have confidence. I've created lots of success in my life. I'm grateful for what I've done and where I am and how far I've come. And what else is possible for me as I continue to do this work and continue to break through using my design and understanding these shadows that have been lurking in the background and are no longer serving me. So yeah, it was, that's that.
Yeah. And for me, it was a coach, my very first coach. I was her practice client. She saw a light in me that I couldn't see in myself, but I didn't see it until like 5 years later.
Yeah.
So she saw it there and something switched, but like it still took me 5 years. And it's still like to this day, it's been 8 years and there are still days that I'm like, what did she see in me that I can't see in myself? I think it's just, we go through these processes and like right now we're in the middle of an eclipse season, which I think is just like bringing up a whole lot of things.
Oh, for sure. Oh my gosh. Yes. It's a crazy eclipse season. And, and I think it's the ego versus the soul self. Our soul self is never a critic, never, ever. Or it doesn't, there's not, our soul self sees us, our higher self, the bigger part of who we are is our soul self, and is always hanging out up here. I always go, I always am like, it's soul self is always here, just going, go ahead, play in the playground of being human on schoolroom earth and do your thing. But we're always here.
Mm-hmm.
We're always here. We're never wavering. And then our ego is always tethering us, going, no, stay safe, stay safe. The inner, the inner critic. And it's, really learning to make the choice and then practice all the ways that our soul self knows that we are. I know that we're all pure positive energy. I know that we are born worthy. I know that, we're each here for our own magnificent missions. I really do know that. And sometimes I actually embody it. And then sometimes I feel like I'm back in high school saying, no, I'm not going to be the only captain. Let's all do it together. Mm-hmm. So it's so interesting. It's fascinating journey that we are here, that we are lucky enough to be on.
Yeah. Yeah. So my next question was to ask you, like, how have you started to see yourself differently since all of this? So you started to talk about that, but talk more about how, so you're in this classroom, like how have you started to see yourself differently in a way that is, I guess, not roiling in the inner critic.
Yeah. I've grown a lot. I mean, truly. The good news is that even though there's still room to grow, and I have grown a lot. I really feel that I am confident with my boundaries. I am, even before I knew human design, I started tapping more into my sacral authority, which I didn't even know what that was. And, but it was the intuition of trusting myself. It was me, like, no longer handing all my cards to what I always call the peanut gallery, which is everybody outside of us. Like, I'm like, this doesn't feel good. I really tapped into years and years ago the very simple but powerful practice of tuning into my body of, is this expanding me, or is this contracting me? Is this a hell yes, or is it a hell no? And that's been one practice that has been consistently, I do it without even thinking anymore. I mean, it's just, and I rarely go into heavy doubt and spiraling, and I don't need to confer with a million people anymore. And other aspects of growth in the, moving from self-criticism into self-love is learning to show up messy and understanding that there is no perfection. And honestly, who wants to see perfection? I mean, I get annoyed when everybody's trying to look too perfect or be too, I'm like, stop it. It's like, no, like, and so I just, it's like, accepting myself as I am. And also a big part of this has been to allow other people. And this is also part of my human design. I've learned is to truly have an understanding and a discernment for everybody else's journey. And it gives me peace. Like, if I'm looking at somebody and the comparison gremlin comes in, it's like, what, and in any way, even if I'm being judgmental or I'm jealous, it's like, wait a second, you know what I mean? Everybody's on their unique journey and it's perfect for them. And we get to live from love and compassion. And it doesn't mean we have to hang I wrote an article about the front row. Who's in your front row? That's another part of my growth, is consistently choosing who I want to be in my front row and being unapologetic about who's not there and always being kind. Another thing is, I'll stop when you want me to.
I just want you to notice, I hope you've seen the hearts popping up.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. But is having the ability to confidently, seems like a silly example, but I know that we women out here, a lot of us can relate on this together. And a few years ago was the first time I actually left a talk that I was at. And I was finding myself being I felt the speaker I felt was, I just felt like I was being patronized. I didn't like the energy. I didn't like the vibe. It was a business thing that I was at. And I knew a lot of people that were there, and I even knew the speaker. But I was sitting there and I was feeling myself starting to seethe, and I was getting, and I'm contracting, and I'm like, oh, I must have just learned that technique or something. So I was like, wait a minute, I don't have to stay here. I can leave. So again, we get to sign our own permission slips. And so I gave myself a permission slip that day, and I said, okay. And I wasn't ridiculous about it. I didn't get up in the middle of, there was a little break in the thing. And I just got up and I left, and I got into my car, and I was like, oh, I just walked out. And why is that so empowering? Like, why can't we just decide it's okay to do that instead of, don't be rude. Oh, stay until the end. Even if, no, I am responsible for my joy. I am responsible for my energy. I am responsible for my vibration. There's nothing more important than our vibration. And it's up to nobody but us. And I'll never forget it. I sat in the parking lot for like 10 minutes, just kind of like going, yeah, woo. And the other thing about that, because we understand about energy, is that I did her a favor too. The speaker, she'll never know, right? It just was not my vibe. But when I'm speaking, I don't want somebody in the room that's got like dagger vibes, because you can feel them.
Yeah.
So
and when I always think that it's a two-way street, that energetic exchange. And if I'm speaking and it's just hitting a wall, then that's just negativity being reflected back to me. Like, if they're not wanting to receive it, then I don't want them there, which is, as a business owner, I'm sure you've had this experience. You're like, but I want everybody to like me.
Yeah, I used to. I'm over that. Yes, I'm very familiar with it, but I'm also over it. In fact,
so
I don't want everybody to like
me. And the people that might like me are people that I might not want to work with anyway.
Exactly. Yes.
So has anyone outside, anyone close to you, have they noticed that you differently as you've done this work? Or did they say anything? Like, for me, it was that people asked me if I got a haircut, because I have short hair and, get my hair cut every 4 weeks. But
I love that.
And a lot of it was just that I was doing work that was lighting me up, and I just looked different.
Yes.
So did anybody notice anything about you differently, or how they treated you?
Yeah, another great question that I was pondering. So because I've been doing this work for so long, really, it's been a long time. And I mean, I love it so much. And so I remember one thing I remember, it was 1 week, and I can't remember what I was involved with at that point, or what book I was reading, or what I was discovering. But I was always in the discovery, like, oh my God, and this was long before The Secret, again, to age myself. So I'd be like, oh my gosh. And I had this one friend who is actually a Reiki master friend. And we were like discovering the secrets of the universe. And we were literally on the phone till midnight. And I'm like, I go to bed at 9 o'clock. I'm an early to bed girl. So we were up till midnight. We were like, oh my gosh. And I remember saying, literally, we have discovered the secrets of the universe. I wish everybody knew. I wish everybody knew what we knew. So there was a period of years there where I was first learning all this stuff. And my kids were little, and I can picture this as if it was yesterday. We were sitting outside the coffee shop by my kids' school, and I was sitting on a bench, and somebody came over to me who was an acquaintance, another mom. I didn't really know her. And she said, I don't know what's going on with you, but I think I want to hear more about it. And I was like, what? She said, no, really. She said, I really do. And then 2 more times that week, people stopped me or reached out to me and said, what's going on? Like, life is really going well for you. And I'm like, yeah, life is good. So that was a week that I remember so clearly. And it was palpable. And I was like, I guess this energy thing really, I guess there's something to it. So I guess vibe and high, isn't, a fad. Yeah. It was amazing.
Yeah. I love being around people when you can tell, you can just, you can just feel it
Yeah.
so much. You can see it across the room. Like that
Yes.
person is really lit up's not the right word. There's just an energy about them. Like there's an aura about them.
But and it is, and you're right, and we feel it. We don't have to speak. In fact, sometimes it's more powerful when we're not even speaking it. We just you just
Mhm.
feel it. It's that person that's just we're not trying to perform, we're not trying to impress, we're not trying it's just literally that be here now energy and
Mhm.
that sense of confidence. It's not look at me, it's not see me, it's feels good.
Yeah, it really is like you sighed and it's like, oh, it is just like, oh, I can just be with you and I don't have to be on. I can just be, which is
Oh,
so huge.
I know.
Like
Don't you
I
love it
have
when
some friends that I love to just be around them because I don't have to be somebody that I don't have to fit into a box that I don't like that doesn't feel right.
exactly that. It's a gift. It's a gift. And yeah, and as I, grow in age and maturity and wisdom, I'm so I notice myself being so much more protective of my energy, and it's interesting because my friend group has decreased.
Mhm.
But I'm not. It's not about how many. It's just about. It's always tuning into myself about is this lighting me up? Does this energy light me up? Especially in this day and age with the craziness in this world right now, I just
Mhm.
am so protective of the people. And again, back to who do we let into our front row? It's like that and the other thing that again is a lesson that carries on is that, like you said too, it is a two-way street. So if somebody's not vibing with me, I'm not good for them either. They may not understand or know that, and that has given me a lot of courage sometimes to kindly be kind to myself, have compassion for myself, and walk away from certain relationships, not in a big fuss or in any kind of fanfare, but just knowing, wait, am I being true to myself or am I just, being the people pleaser of, don't upset the
Mhm.
apple cart.
Yeah.
You can't be mean. Of course you have to go to that baby shower. Do I really have to go to that baby shower?
Yeah.
I don't know. And the way I get around it for myself that makes me really feel good, because I mean I still fall into the people pleaser, but not as much, and I don't
Mhm.
stay there too long. But it's like knowing, like we talked about, if it's not good for me, it's not good for them. So I'm not going to,
Mhm.
I'm going to be gracious and I'm going to do something that's going to serve me and open my heart. Why? Because that's being a better steward of my energy on this earth and lighting the torch for, it's not to be submissive and people pleaser
Mhm.
anymore.
Jen, I just have to say, you just gave me an idea for another article. Oh my gosh. Thank you.
Awesome. Can't wait to hear it. Do
I have to, let me just jot it down real quick.
it.
Uh, so I want to, there's one question I want to ask you before we get into the human design piece. So, what is something that you do daily that is like you practicing self love, even if it doesn't look like self love on the outside? Because, like, we say, oh, I take a bath and that's myself. But, like, self care and self love are mixed, but they're not the same thing. So, what is something that you do that's part of practicing self love for you?
Yeah. So one thing too, it also, I think it all surrounds around the concept of boundaries, of self compassionate boundaries, and the more I've practiced them over the years, like anything, right, that we build the muscles around, the more innate they become. And so I have noticed that. And in line with that is my response, my responding versus reacting, because that is something for years and years and years and years I've been learning and talking and teaching and practicing myself. I'm not like a high temper person. but I could definitely, and I still do, default again to the self-criticism. And sometimes I do it with my husband, who is my biggest supporter and who is one of the people that's always like, why can't you see, yourself the way other people? I'm like, I don't know. It's a flaw in my design and we're working on it. And, but he says, but when he tries to, and he's very different from me. He's a 5'2", but he's much more like, he's engineer, like very, yeah. And so he's very matter of fact, not really emotional. And he'll just say something and I'll immediately think he's criticizing me. We've been married for 30 something years. And I'm like, and he's like, why do you think everything I say is a criticism? So my self-love practice, I think I'm answering this question, is the thing I do every day that I practice and I really work on it is responding. And I have a lot of practice because we're here together. We both work from home. And so is learning to respond to him instead of react to him and learning. So maybe I'll say it's the power of the pause. I pause before I immediately jump to any kind of, before I say anything. And I'm like, wait a second. And then I'll notice what I'm doing. I'll, ask myself, is this true? What's really happening here? And then I'll step into making a choice that's going to serve me. And I'm getting better at it. It's still a little bit of a work in progress, but I'm kind of excited about it because it's something I'm wanting to get better. So I get to practice. So anytime he says something and I immediately in my first, why are you saying, I'm like, stop. Yeah. And he's noticing it. He's like, So that's
I love that.
So I think that's something that's relevant for me and going on right now in my life. So not reacting to everything he says as if it's a self-criticism, because it's not usually.
Yeah. I know that one well. This, you immediately, somebody says something and there's this sense of you feel your body puff up because you're like, oh, you're not going to tell me. Yep. Don't you dare tell me this. And a lot of times it's not even necessarily criticizing. It might just be pointing something out that I forgot. Yep. But my initial reaction is to react. And I know you're a manifesting generator and I'm a generator. And it's we're supposed to respond. We're not supposed to react.
Oh. Yes. And now, and it's, of course I've gotten better at it with other people, but it's always hardest with my husband and other family members too. But so I have plenty of opportunity to practice and hone my skills here. So this is a good thing, but we're getting better. We're getting there.
So I want to dig into the human design aspect of this conversation. And I've been identifying the parts of human design that are related to self-love. And I wanted to explore which parts of the chart help us understand a woman's relationship with herself. So I want to be clear. I've been putting out this disclaimer every time, this is not a part of the traditional human design teaching. So those of you who are really, rigid about Ra's teachings, this is my own interpretation, and I've looked at the chart and there were a couple of things that came up for me that I'm curious about for you. And you actually, your core 4 is the 10, 15, 46, 25. So that's what also in traditional human design known as the incarnation cross, which I find so fascinating. So your life's work is about self-love and the extremes. And I don't know what the 46 and the 25 are off the top of my head, but a couple of things I want to ask you about, and we're not going to go necessarily just into those. Jody says a vessel of love too. Fantastic.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Thanks, Jody. That's right.
So the first one I'll tell you how the inner critic speaks. And I want you to just share about how it's shown up in your life, but also how you've reframed it and worked with it. The first one is who do I think I am? I'm not creative enough. No one wants to hear what I have to say. I'd rather stay small than be criticized. That feels like very much what we were just talking about. How has that one shown up for you?
In all the stories I shared earlier, it's stay small. It's stay small. It's hide your light under the bushel. Don't outshine everybody. That's been another theme for me is don't outshine and anybody. And again, I don't know that that was necessarily something I learned in my household growing up on a consistent basis. I don't think it was, but it was me learning, don't do that. Don't, play small. And then always letting myself achieve to a certain level and then stopping here, always stopping here.
Mm-hmm.
And to this day. So yeah, it's extremely annoying, by the way. But I'm embracing it all because it's all here for me. It's here for me. And wait, so what else did you ask?
So just how you were reframing it and how you've been working with it.
Yeah. And my whole life of personal growth and my fascination and my passion for it, for learning and growing and for leadership and for helping others grow. And for me, putting my life, I've always been in careers that it's been all about, like I was a physical therapist and I got involved in other entrepreneurial businesses, all about helping people. And then now coaching, for real. Like I just think me learning through my clients are my biggest gifts to me. And so I see their power, every single one of them. And so every time I get to have the privilege of working there with them, it fills my cup up as well. And it reminds me, and sometimes it's my clients that, I'm like, go jump and create this, whatever the next step is. And then I'll come back to myself and say, okay, so put your money where your mouth is and practice what you preach. And I feel like it holds me accountable because I want to practice what I preach. That's the only way to be. So those are some things that have helped me. And again, I am very comfortable. I'm up there. So, and I really am the hell yes or hell no girl now. And I really am unapologetic about saying no. I always want to be kind. I still am concerned about, hurting people's feelings, but I'm more concerned about hurting my own feelings. And that is not a place I ever was in most of my life. And I think it is true. I know it's true for so many of us that our feelings, it's okay. I can handle it. I'm fine, and I'm just not going to do that to myself anymore. And I haven't wanted to model that to my kids. I have 2 boys and a girl. My daughter just turned 24 this weekend. And I've been always wanting to model, when she says to me, I'm fine. I'm like, do you want to have a fine life? Like, is that what we're going for? Mm-hmm. So let's start to dig into our emotions and start to make choices about what it is that you want and what is not working and all of that. All right. I think I'm going off the track here.
Yeah, no, this is perfect. A friend of mine or a colleague I worked with told me one time, she's like, when I would say, oh no, things are fine. And she's like, do you know what fine really means? And I was like, no. And she said, it's feelings I'm not expressing. Oh. And so now when people say, oh, I'm fine, I'm like, how are you really?
Thank you for that.
I know. That just completely shifted something for me. But yeah, so people, it became kind of a joke but people would put on their laptop the sticker that said, I'm fine, because we knew that nobody was fine.
No, but we weren't taught, and it's still, there's so much work to be done to teach all of us about expressing all our feelings, and, anger, guilt, fear, shame, sadness, all beautiful. They're beacons of light. They're guiding us. They're calling us. They're saying, please don't ignore me anymore. Bring me up to the light, because this is how we're going to transmute and transform. And I am passionate about teaching that. I did a class once with 10 women, and I started talking about the word shame, and they wanted to die. And I'm like, no, we're not. We're bringing it to the light. We're bringing it to the light, because it's like the number one emotion that we are not expressing. And I'm like, I'm sick of it. We're talking about it. And shame. So, we did all these different exercises. Then I'm like, I'm allowed to feel shame in my body. I learned that from Kyle Cease. I'm like, I'm allowed to feel all these emotions in my body. I'm allowed to feel guilt. I'm allowed to feel sadness. I'm allowed to feel anger. Yes, I am. I say there's no bad emotions. I say they're literally just beacons for us. They're literally just guideposts for us. So let's stop ignoring them. However, give ourselves a break. We came by it honestly, right? Most of us screw up, but don't express, nobody wants to hear what your sad emotions, smile, be happier. Like, you look prettier when you smile. Oh, yeah. Don't get me started. I'll stop dropping my F-bombs here. Cause I'll be like,
I mean, we're still hearing, not to get political, but like, we're hearing our president say, you should smile more to reporters. And I'm like, what age are we in?
No.
Like, have we not gotten past that? And I remember when I worked at the library, there were a couple of older men who would be like, if you would smile more, you'd be prettier. And I was like, you are being a jerk to me, commenting on my body. I'm not going to smile for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
Like, no, I'm going to be like a grump now. We're coming, but we're so excited, right? Because we're moving into divine feminine. We're moving out of 5 to 3D into, oh my gosh, it's such an amazing time to be alive. And we all have such important roles to play. That's why I love what you're doing and getting to be here with you. So, because there's so much work to be done, and it's our time. It's our time.
Mm-hmm. So I want to go to 2 others. One is, I need to protect myself. Life has hurt me. I can't trust. If I let people in, they'll hurt me, and it's safer to keep my guard up. How has that one shown up for you?
I need to protect myself. Yeah, I think it goes to everything that we've just been talking about, is, the imposter syndrome thing of, I'm not going to show up to do that trial because there's no way I could be a lawyer, even as a pretend. Like, I'm not doing that. So I'm going to protect myself by not showing up. I'm going to protect myself by staying small. And I really think I've spent, again, I am grateful for my life, and I am proud of who I am and where I am. However, I do reflect on gosh, how much have I been living that keeping myself safe theme? And I think it's been more than I really would like to recognize as, I think I like to think I'm bolder than I am. And I think, but I've been, no, because, self-protection is, that's one I'm going to have to dig into a little bit more. It's definitely a theme that's kept me in a space.
So then I'm going to go to the next one, which is all about the body and the love of the body. That the body, basically the inner critic says, my body isn't good enough. If I look different, I'm getting old. I don't like what I see. My body is holding me back. My body makes me less worthy. How has that shown up for you, and how have you reframed it?
Yeah, I'm pretty good here. I feel pretty good. I mean, could I lose a few pounds? Yes, definitely. Of course. I'm a huge vocal advocate for perimenopause, menopause, women's health, I have been forever. So this is not an area that I struggle too much. In fact, I take care of myself, and I where I get enraged about it is society's, versions and opinions and what they're, how midlife is, especially for women, is portrayed. And I'm not here for that at all. So I am here for, and I love the energy of like Dr. Vonda Wright and Mary Claire Haver, and like just talking about, like, it's all about becoming strong and becoming healthy and loving yourself as you are, and truly doing this. And I think that we're moving out again, the patriarch is falling, old facades are falling. We're moving into new energy and new directions. And it is up to us to start to look at ourselves differently instead of the indoctrination that we got from the heavy patriarchy that we've all been indoctrinated in, right? And so we do have responsibility to ourselves to get the education and to become knowledgeable and to take charge of what we can take charge of. And there's a lot of it. And I am loving all the people they call themselves the menopause, these people that I love to follow online. And I've been to some of their conferences too. Because I want to be in that world. I want to put myself in a world where women are believing in their power and their strength. And you have to be intentional if you're going to do that by choosing the people and the things and the books and staying away from the rest. And so I have made that a mission of mine. And it's funny, I'm just realizing it as I'm talking about it. It's literally been a mission of mine to intentionally indoctrinate myself into the strong woman world and not in the critical, my body's no good and I'm too old and I have wrinkles and this and that. It's like, no, everything's a badge of honor now. It's like, but take responsibility, do what you can and own it. And that's what I'm doing. So.
Yeah. My daughter loves to point out my gray hairs and I'm like, I earned every one of those.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Probably an argument with you, but I earned it.
That's right. Yes. And it feels so good. Like, I feel like we're at such an exciting time where women want to go great, be beautiful. Could we always have done that? Well, yeah, but then it's still an uphill battle with just trying to defend yourself against society and the shoulds.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, the shoulds are, they are a beast.
Totally.
So how do you've talked about human design. I mean, we're both in Julie Ciardi's world. Like, how are you using human design? Are you using it just for yourself? Are you using it with clients? And how do you use it with clients?
Yeah, I am using it with clients and I love it. I just started, I just found Julie's World a year ago. It'll be a year in September. And so new to human design, but yes, I am using it with every single client. I have each client has their own little bot now, and I have their information. And what it's been incredibly validating because I have a lot of clients who I've coached for quite a while, so I know them quite well. And now I started adding the human design into it, and it was like, oh, wow, yeah, right on track here. But then we've been able to dig deeper and see some things that I completely missed in understanding, the shadow that they've been, spending more time in than, that maybe time to move forward in and things like that. So my clients are absolutely loving it. I mean, so it's an adjunct to the other tools and the other ways that I coach, and I use it for everybody. And I'm also using it for my son, my two sons, and my daughter, and my son's friends. I have I have a 27 and a 31-year-old, and they have friends that are, trying to figure life out too, right? Mm-hmm. And they're becoming some of my most favorite people to talk. I'm like, let me run your design and let's talk about it. And I went and had coffee for 3 hours with with a 27-year-old, my son's friend. And, let's just see and it was so helpful for them. And it just makes me feel good. Yeah.
Ooh, I love that. That's one of the things I want to do is like work with parents and their kids is just to get, I just did a reading for a friend for her birthday. And I was like, bringing in some things about her kids. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I wanted to do. I just didn't know how to piece it together. Nice. Yeah. And I pull up as soon as I find out my daughter's friends' birthdays, I pull up their charts because my daughter will say, I don't understand this. And I'm like, they need to sleep on their decisions just like you do. They're not going to give you that instant answer. Or like your friend is a manifester. Of course she's going to be doing this and, just acting and not asking your permission. Like that I don't tell her out loud. And I'm like, your friend's a manifester, this, and this. And I'm like, well, she's going to be this way. And she'll say this. And this I can see it coming up in real life for her. And when she asks a friend, like, do you want to go do this? And I'm like, let's ask her a couple days before and then give her some time to, think about it.
Wow.
And they're 12 and it's been so helpful.
That's going to be so helpful all through middle school. And I mean, I wish I knew this then. It really is a beautiful way to use that. Wow. That's fantastic.
Yeah. Her friends don't know I'm doing that, but it helps me. My daughter has been helped so much by learning her human design that I thought I'm going to bring this in for her. So then she understands her friends better, and then she's not frustrated with her friends.
Yes. It gives her more compassion to help understand her people more, her friends more. Yeah.
Yeah. Like she said, Mom, can you text so-and-so's mom? Because I know she needs to sleep on it for 3 days. So can you let her know? And then then we'll get a good answer.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Yes, I will. So Jen, tell us what you are working on now, and what you want to tell people about what you're working on.
Yeah. So I am building out the Could Life Collective, which is a home for women who are done living the should life and are ready to move into the could life. So working on that on Substack, and actually still have to finish my human design certification. I have one more project I have to interview and then I'm done. So there's that too. But I'm also working on a podcast, the Could Life Out Loud, and on Substack, where I at first it was just going to be interviewing my clients, but I decided, no, we're going to go beyond that, and about kind of the mid-evolutionary women who are, and I have this thing about, I'm not into like the whole reinvention of ourselves. To me, that diminishes everything that's come before. This is just me. This is just how I look at it. And so I feel so strongly about embracing every single, wrinkle, scar, gray hair, all of it, and owning the wisdom that we have, and this stage that we're at, and letting it morph into a whole new experience that you never necessarily even expected in the world, but bringing all yourself with you, because who we are today in midlife is nobody can touch us. It's like we've got the chops, right? We've got the battle scars, and it's time to put down our boxing gloves and stop beating ourselves up, and really step into all of that. So these are the women I want to talk with. So, and again, I'm so inspired by what you have done here and how well you have done it, that you have been giving me confidence to even use your format. Yeah, seriously. I love it. So I think that's the direction I'm moving in right now.
Oh, thank you. I love that. And I love what you're doing. And people talking about reinventing themselves just feels like, when I hear, I'm reinventing myself, or midlife's about reinvention, and I'm like, that feels like so much work.
Yeah.
I don't want to reinvent myself. Can I just evolve a little bit? I don't want to do a full 180. I want to just do one tick of the clock.
Yes. Yeah, I love that thought. Yeah, it's kind of like, no, I'm grabbing the tick. And I do have this threshold method that we go through all different, just cross over into all the next thresholds of life and of midlife specifically. And you just made me think of grabbing the ticket, no. And instead of apologizing for being in midlife, no, we're unapologetic. It's good for you. I hope you're lucky enough to get here too, because we really have wisdom to share. And the only reason we have it is because we are where we are right now because of everything we went through before. Let's honor it. Let's own it. Let's share it and speak from the mountaintops about it, and stop being apologetic about it. So yeah. So
yeah. Well, my last question is one I ask all of my podcast guests and Substack Live. So what is one, excuse me, what is one unwritten rule of midlife that you would like to rewrite?
Well, you know what? I think I just got ahead of myself because I think I just said it. And the one unwritten rule of midlife that I want to change is that midlife means you have to go out to pasture. Midlife is that you're done. Yep, it's over. I mean, the marketers don't want to market to you. The this, the that. That I want to change that. And I want to say midlife is where you get to become the loudest version. And it doesn't even have to be, if you're not a loud person, I'm not saying you have to yell, but I'm saying, where you're really living unapologetically, that word I keep saying, but from your heart, with compassion for yourself, leading the way, because as you do that, you lead the trails in front, so that people can follow behind you and other women can come and say, you know what, I get to do this too. It is owning the beauty and the power and the wisdom of who we have become because of the life we have lived. And it's an honor and it's a privilege. And so we are going bigger and better, and come, let's do it together.
Ooh. Oh, I love that, Jen. Thank you for that. So I want to thank you for being here and being part of the project. One of the only problems with Substack Live is that I don't get to talk to you afterwards. So I'm going to just tell you right now that it's been such an honor for you to be part of the project, to talk to you today. I've been looking forward to this for a long time.
Thank you.
I just love what you've had to say and sharing your story so vulnerably. So thank you. And thank you for everyone who joined us today, and those of you who are listening to us on the podcast and on the replay, thank you so much.
Yes.
And thank you everyone who has been so supportive of this project, the Summer of Self-Love, because it has grown from something that was going to be very small to like this big, amazing project that it's taken on a life of its own, and it's inspired so much other things that I'm working on. So Jen, thank you for being part of it.
Well, thank you. And I acknowledge you so much for you leading from the front. Thank you.
Thanks. Well, everyone, we'll talk to you soon. And Jen, I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, Erica. Take care. Bye.
Bye.